The Road Dogs are champs again, this time for the winter 2026 season in Rhode Island. We're going to break down the finals, how they beat Load Management. They snapped that winning streak Load Management had, and how Noah James got his first finals MVP. We'll talk quickly about All-Star, but it's really a final show, and we have to, show some respect to the champs. I think that's what this is about. And the Ultra Barber Salon finals MVP, Noah James. So let's shout them out. Ultra Barber Salon, the regular season MVP, Almar Sabat, also in the finals with Load Management. And Noah James, who made it known in that post-game press conference, the interview that we'll talk about. He thought he should have been MVP, and he had the last word. So we'll talk about all of that and how the Road Dogs were able to win the finals coming up here on the finals and the last post-game show of the season. Shout out to our season sponsor, Ultra Barber Salon in West Warwick. We did a lot of fun stuff with them, gave out some certificates, and shout out to them. DeFusco and Son Fence as well. Edge Spray had a moment at All-Star Night that we'll talk about, so shout out to them and all of our sponsors. So as the season comes to an end, it's a sad show for everybody except the Road Dogs, the champs. Let's talk about it. Yeah. This is the Legacy League. Tell me where your legacy be. Yeah. A lot of two-time champs on the Road Dogs. Some a little shorter period of time being two-time champs, and some longer. The Road Dogs, the OG Road Dogs, go back to the summer of 2024. And the Skyhawks, 3 of them go back-to-back from this past summer. And then there's Kevin Views, the first player to win 2 finals in the same season. He was a 2-time champ for about a week there. So there you go. It's been a week for Kevin Views, but it's been a better game for Noah James, who was finals MVP. So let's not take that away. Shout out to him, the Ultra Barber Salon finals MVP. Tyler, Maya, Peyton, and Aidan standing by to break down the finals and how the Road Dogs defeated Load Management 67-54. All right, y'all can get in. I know we've done this a lot this season. We can go whichever direction you'd like. I guess I'll do some stats first because it was the Ultra Barber Salon Finals MVP Noah James with 26 points, 6 assists, and 6 threes, and 2 or 3 of those 6 threes coming in that fourth quarter when Load Management was kind of playing as well as it could, was trying to make a comeback really the entire game, and he kind of put the nail in the coffin, as they say, and kind of closed the door on a Load Management championship vision for the Road Dogs. He was, I think, the best player for the Road Dogs by far. We'll see what the analysts think in a second, but I think he really stepped up when the Road Dogs needed it because Load Management down by 15 in the first half. They were down double digits, multiple times and really made a couple runs, which we talked about during that post-game trophy presentation. It was a well-earned, it wasn't just a blowout by any means. It was a well-earned fight for the Road Dogs to get that title. Kevin Views with 14 and 5, Karan Bostic with 12, and so there we go, 12 and 7. He kind of did his thing and was that fourth player we've been talking about. And Demoy Ennis with 12 and 9. 9 rebounds, 12 points for him. Almar Sabat, 14 points. He said it himself. He didn't really have it, so I'll just kind of keep doing the stats quickly. But he said he played a game before that, which not the best idea, especially as we all get older and we're not professional athletes. He still, had an impact and, made a 3 and, 14 points is nothing in a game like this where it was 67-54. But he wasn't, I noticed it, and it wasn't necessarily a bad performance. He just wasn't himself, I think is fair. And he admitted it, so definitely is fair. Leonard Williams led the way for Load Management, 18 points, 8 rebounds. His defense was noticeable with 3 steals, but him and Almar up top on defense in whatever kind of zone it was that they were playing was working and was funky enough, especially with those two leading the charge, putting some pressure on the ball. Malik Chase with 15 and 5. We talked about Almar. And then Rodney Theodore really battled foul trouble. And I'm trying to, he had 4 fouls possibly in the first half, definitely in the third quarter. And they kind of had to mix and match some of their lineups here. Maya, you can kick it off. She's a traitor. It's okay. I don't know who picked who. It's all right. It ultimately doesn't matter. If you remember, you can pat yourself on the back here. But it's really about the Road Dogs, Maya, and what they were able to do to win the title and defeat load management.
Yeah, I think I did pick the Road Dogs. I think you said it came I think came down to two things we talked about leading up to the playoffs and throughout the playoffs is their fourth player, which I want to give credit to Bostic. I think he was good in both of their games that they played, or yeah, both their games that they played. He showed up and helped them because we talked about their big three a lot, but we always said they need fourth, they need fourth. Both games he showed up and scored double digit points, and that's what helped them. And then Noah, he always in the fourth quarter he'll find a way to make a bucket, whether if it's a tough bucket or an open three that he was getting at the end of the game by just moving around on the court. And load management played a really good game. Now that you say that about Amor, when I was watching, I just thought he was less aggressive than what he usually is, and maybe it's because he played the game before. But I also want to give the Red Dogs credit because I think they did a good job of forcing the ball out of his hands and letting other people, the other load management players, try to will them to this win. And also, they got more offensive rebounds. They were able to shoot 50 shots, 50 plus shots to load management's 37. And so when you're able to get rebounds and then you have a player like Noah who's coming in clutch and hitting big shots, you're not going to lose games like this. So shout out the Road Dogs and Noah for his MVP.
Yeah, and I'll say I was wrong here. I guess it's a good time to do that in the sense of I thought Noah James, Kevin Views, and Demoyenis would need 60 plus points combined, right? And if you start doing the math and you start using your fingers, it's like, all right, Noah James is probably going to get around 30. That happened. Where does the other 30-ish come from, right? Demoyenis is usually 15 to 20, which is kind of, he had 12, but exactly what he did. That means kind of Kevin Views was going to have to play better than he has in some of these games in the past. And he did. It was good enough. They got the win. It doesn't matter. But they combined for 52. And so I guess my math was a little off because of how low scoring and how few possessions there were. But I thought it was going to be 60, 65 from those three to keep pace with load management. Malik Chase missed a couple threes that he was pretty open that I feel like he made. Of course he did in the semifinals against the purple team, right? That's how it goes. But some of those threes weren't falling that were falling previously for load management, and I think that just took a little more out of them to try to find other ways to score. Peyton, what'd you see from the Road Dogs? Noah James with a great game, but what was the key for you for the Road Dogs to get this win?
Key for the Road Dogs to me is basically just what they've been doing the whole season. They all have to play together. They all have to combine and have that team chemistry that they've had the whole season, which is why they only had one loss. Kevin Views started off with a really good game, and Noah James started kicking in his MVP form, and the rest of the way, that was how they went. All they needed was that team chemistry, and they took advantage of their strengths and continued with it in this game.
And they snapped that winning streak, right? Load management hadn't lost since their fourth game going back because of how funky the schedule was, but they had been playing well themselves as a team, and I think it was just a bad combination of a couple things, right? Some of the shots not falling, both teams were getting good looks, but Tyler, your first time seeing especially a championship like this, but what stands out for you and the Road Dogs this season, in the finals, just what stands out to you?
This game was a lot more scoring than I thought it was going to be. Like it got to the fourth, and part of me was like, "Oh my God, is it still like the third quarter?" Um, I was kind of surprised watching views. Like I felt like his like shooting percentage, I think it was like 40%, whatever, I think for field goals. Like I felt I was waiting for him to like start picking it up at some point because I feel like normally he gets on a roll to like drag more of like the points for it to be like a higher scoring game to kind of pull away more from load management. But I felt like even though there was like a gap between the scoring between teams, like it still was always kind of close. Like no one was crazy pulling away. But I know you mentioned about load management. I liked like that defense. I saw like the zone they kept setting up every time, which I think that they did have a good flow going for them. But as Road Dogs kind of kept like pulling away, you could see like the lack of confidence going on with like load management, and you could just see like everyone was just kind of like giving each other almost like attitude like as a team, and they kind of like lost like focus and were prioritizing like I remember the fouling, that was like a huge thing, and I think it threw like a bunch of the players off, and like everyone what came in locked in, and it just kind of like threw them off from, I guess, eyes on the prize. But I like loved watching Road Dogs like this whole season. They're like dynamic. Like they just had such a great like flow of the team. Like everyone always like passed the ball around and like actually played as a team. And I think like ultimately like even like when they got down, if there was like foul, they still like picked each other up and still kept that same like confidence and energy, regardless of like shots like falling or not. And I think that's basically their attitudes is what won them this game.
Yeah, and shout out, Karan Bostic again, 12 points, and only 5 players scored for the Road Dogs, and so they definitely needed his presence as well. 23-13 Road Dogs after the first quarter, so it kind of flipped on load management. What they did to the halfway crooks a week ago, kind of coming out strong, kind of happened to them, right? Some things went against them. Some things went against them, and my dog agrees. It wasn't great. Aidan, the Road Dogs, what'd you like from them this season, especially in the finals?
We pretty much have talked about it a lot, and a lot of our social clips have been, and Maya's famous words of saying the Road Dogs always find a way to win, and that's exactly what they did. Um, they just looked like the better team throughout most of the season, and I think we gave them a lot of credit, which they deserve, but I also think we didn't give them enough credit because we saw that they were 7-1, and you look at their roster even after Omar and Ethan go down, and you know that they have four guys that can play at a high level, and have shown that they can play at a high level. So, not saying that we discredited them, but looking at their roster on paper, they're like, okay, they're expected to be here, and I think that they kind of felt slighted that obviously Noah didn't win MVP, and just felt a little slighted that we were not. I'm not sure what I'm going for, but not that they were as good as they were because they were 7-1, 9-1 overall, winning both their playoff games. And like Maya and Tyler said in the beginning, Kevin had a couple good shots, and you thought, okay, maybe this is the game where Kevin continues to go back to his 4-game stretch where he had 25, 27, 30, and probably like 24. And then he fizzled out. And then in comes Noah. When you have a second guy like Noah who can just come in and take over, and just any of these clips like sizing up Almar, not really that you can size them up because they're similar height, but just getting down to his own dribbles and just pulling it when he feels like he can pull it, and he makes them. There's a couple threes, but there was one key moment. Noah drives in, he's at the post, and he's doing his spin move, and he spins, and he makes that mid-range, and I'm like, okay, Noah's kind of locked in. Once he hits one of those, he's always locked in, but that's where it somewhat shifted. Like you said, Almar had a game before this, and load management, I picked them to win. I was wrong, obviously. I just think they came into this game. I think they were focused, but they weren't as prepared as they should have been. It didn't seem like they weren't uninterested in the game, but there was just some instances where I personally felt like there were players that were trying more than others, and they were all trying. But there were a couple times when I'm sitting at the scoreboard and the Road Dogs are passing it in, and I look up to the left to go see the fast break, and I turn back around and Leonard Williams has stolen it. He had multiple defensive possessions where he's taking the ball away from the Road Dogs and scoring and trying to create as much offense as possible. I think this was probably his best game of the whole season. I just think he was trying so hard, and before, like if the load management had won this game, he would have been Finals MVP. Just that's how much of an impact he was going. And then I think where it all went downhill, unfortunately, no one knows if you're going to have a good game or a bad game. Ronnie Theodore had a poor game, but I think that resulted in him being frustrated, and he picked up those 2 quick fouls towards the end, and he had 4 fouls, and when you take a guy like Rodney out, you have to insert somebody else in, and Jonathan Buchanan played fine, but you take away the explosiveness and the unpredictability of Rodney, who can drive in and dunk, he can shoot. But when you have those quick fouls and you're getting frustrated, you're in the moment and you're like, I want to foul, I want to get off the court. And not saying that's what he did, but it felt like that, whereas like they were frustration fouls. And it's unfortunate because load management had such a good season, but the Road Dogs ultimately, the juggernaut, the only other team not named Lob City to have more than one title in Legacy. So hopefully they make that little mini dynasty. But I know that, they took some Skyhawks players. Skyhawks might come back in the summer. They might be not Road Dogs, but I know that they want to continue to play together. And the Road Dogs, man, they capped off an incredible season. Noah's showing why he thinks he deserves MVP, rightfully so, in this game, because he put the team on his back and carried them to the Road Dogs' second championship and Noah's second consecutive championship.
Well, I almost want to take some credit for that then. I think we kind of fueled Noah a little bit, right? So good job, guys. We did it for the Road Dogs. Yeah, that lineup really never got to peak for load management, where it's Malik Chase, Rodney Theodore, Leonard Williams, and Almar Sabat, right? And that was kind of the lineup that we knew was going to have success. Those four players were going to have to probably score around the same amount that I was just talking about for a Demoy, Noah, and Kevin combination, right? They were probably going to need 50 from around those four, if not more, to keep pace. And those, we just talked about it, right? Leonard Williams had 18, Malik Chase 15, Almar 14. And so that's under 50. No, it's not. It's over 50. It's all right. Math is hard. 52? I think it's the exact same amount, which is so dumb that it's the exact same amount as the other three. But for load management to win, they can't match the three, right? I mean, obviously, you need to score more points. But that lineup just never really had success defensively either, because of that foul trouble, which I think was huge. Any last points on the championship? I mean, a pretty dominant run. I believe that's 5 straight wins, and I'll check this in a second, for the Road Dogs to close out the season. And they were already, but they are still only the 4th different team to win the championship in Rhode Island. We talked about Lob City. We have the Duyes boys way back before COVID. We had the Road Dogs and then the Skyhawks. And so that's it. So only 4 different teams in 13 seasons have won it in Rhode Island. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. So 5 straight wins to close out. That's the regular season. Wow, the Road Dogs went on a little bit of a run. Oh, I know they lost here. Sorry. Yeah, so 5 wins for the Road Dogs. You can tell we're very prepared. It's the end of the season. Listen, it's been a run. All right, Road Dogs, you guys did it. 5 straight wins for the Road Dogs to get the title. Anything else? I mean, we can only talk so much about this game. There was a couple runs and load management made it interesting, but it is the Road Dogs and Noah James, Finals MVP. All right, let's kind of recap All-Star Night really quick and we'll get out of here. All right, because our last show was kind of right around All-Star Night, and since then we have some champions to talk about from the winter 2026 All-Star Night. All right, just to recap, we kicked off with a Jared Hansen 3-point shootout championship over all of the past champions, including myself. I stunk it up. It's all good. But he also defeated Noah James there. So it wasn't, a clean sweep for Noah. So that's good. We got to keep him in check. Jared Hansen wins his, I believe, 6th Rhode Island and 7th overall. So there you go for 3-point contest. Rich Hall broke out the jersey, the Vince Carter jersey. We love it. And won the slam dunk contest. So some good clips from him coming on social media. Go check that out. And then in the All-Star game, let me double check the score, but it was Rich Hall winning the All-Star game MVP as the West defeated the East. It wasn't the most theatrical or dramatic. It was a 106-89 win. They kind of dominated, led by Rich Hall. And is this the right box score? No, let me get that up there. Rich Hall in the All-Star game, even though the stats are made up and don't really matter. 31 points, Nick Lemoyne with 19, and Noah James with 17. So he did win the All-Star game too. So Noah James has had a pretty good week in the Legacy Leagues. All right, guys, so that kind of recaps All-Star Night. We'll go around quickly, a couple sentences. What stands out? I know some of you guys weren't there, but even just kind of what stands out hearing about All-Star Night and, what's like the headline from All-Star night, right? Dunk contest, 3-point All-Star game, just kind of what stands out. Peyton, you were there, so we'll go to you first. Just like 1 or 2 sentences, what stands out from All-Star night?
From All-Star Night, I would basically describe it as in one word: showtime. It's always All-Star Night is always that one day of year where you get to really show off what you are really the best at. It's like, especially in the dunk contest, Rich Hall has been showing it this whole season. He got to show it even more. And even winning the dunk contest and stepping it one step forward by winning the All-Star Game MVP.
Yeah, a pretty good dunk contest. Moyenis, Noah West returned, a former champion. Yeah, so we had some good dunkers, and Q was jumping over his teammates, and Kevin Views is like fearing for his life. It was hilarious. He should know better. There's like 0% chance anything happens, right, when you have that guy jumping over you. Maya, what stands out? Even just a couple sentences from All-Star Night. What caught your eye?
I would have to say the teammate on teammate crime, just talk about him. But Kevin Views dunking on Demoy Ennis in the All-Star game was pretty crazy. I think that was my standout moment. But a good 3-point contest and a good slam dunk contest too on top of that.
Yeah, that clip, and then it's all smiles after, right? But you're like, wait, is he gonna try this? And then he did it, and he got him. He got him. So he threw it down on Q. So again, everything's coming up aces for Kevin Views, right? You can't, he should go gamble, do whatever he's got to do. It's like his week in legacy leagues. Tyler, what stands out? A couple sentences from All-Star Night.
I liked watching the players that like I didn't see this season. So they were like interesting to see like new people. They should come back next season. But also, yeah, that what Maya just talked about, that whole dunk thing was like crazy. Like the clip I saw was like awesome. Um, but I think my favorite dunk was Rich Hall's. He came through and made it exciting. But I wish the West versus East was more exciting. But other than that, yeah.
Yeah, dunk contest was good, and it's always better when the All-Star game is closer, right? Because we do play to a target score, and so someone has to score to win, and so it gets very intense because like next bucket wins is very different from what you see in a normal game in the Legacy League. So, yeah, teammate on teammate crime for sure. Aidan, couple sentences. What stands out?
Well, what stood out to me is during the game on the West, 2 players stood out to me, playing with a lot of synergy and team chemistry, given that they were on opposite sides of the court the whole entire time, and that was Rich Hall and Nick Lemoyne. And seeing those two just lead the West, like it was just fun to watch, because Rich was coming off winning the dunk contest, almost winning the 3-point contest, being in the finals, and just he was having fun. And that's what you'd like to see with All-Stars. You'd like to see people having fun. He took everybody's advice, or took your advice, and brought a prop. He's just an explosive player, and like we mentioned this before we started recording, thinking about top plays, and I just go back to his week 1 play against Noah, and just he tried that dunk, his first ever game in the league, and that just kind of shows how well or how fearless of a player Rich Hall is. And another thing that stood out to me is Noah West. I know not many people aside from me and Joey have seen him play, at least in this call, but he came in, had to do 2 back-to-back dunks, and kind of walked his way back there, and that just kind of shows the athleticism and ease Noah West himself has when he's playing this game and going for dunks. And I'm excited to see him come back, hopefully. But no, this was an overall great season. It was anybody's season. The Air Mambas had their best season overall. Load management, a new team made it to the finals in their first year. Real Dogs back on top. It's so much to say, but this was an overall great season, and I'm excited for the summer.
Yeah, shout out to Noah West, who hopefully will be back this summer, and so shout out to him for coming out. He didn't have to, so it was great to have him at All-Star Night. I'm glad we could sneak him in, and he made the finals. So there you go, right? No warm-ups, no practice, just throw a couple dunks down and keep it moving. So we love that. Yeah, hopefully load management will be back. Early signs are they will be. The Air Mambas will most likely be back. Halfway Crooks. Game Breakers are back from last summer, including Noah West and Gian Abadijan. So another good team there. And we'll see about Lob City. I haven't heard from Cody. He's been quiet with All-Star Night. It's just weird. Got to reach out to him, one of the OGs. It's, team and captain and all of that. So hopefully they're back as well. But that's a wrap. We did it. For Tyler, Maya, Peyton, Aidan, I'm Joey. The winter 2026 season in the books. All-Star Night, the finals. Shout out again to the Road Dawgs and the Ultra Barber Salon MVP, Noah James. Well-deserved. A good game, a good season. And we'll see everybody back for the summer in Rhode Island and the other states as well. But it'll be warmer. The summer is always more fun, more teams. So we'll see everybody in the summer.